What if a gangster swapped bodies with a bullied high school student? A 47-year-old gangster still wanted to experience a high school life. A student who was always be bullied at his school. One day, they swapped bodies with each other thanks to miracle. Although the gangster tried to swap back, he failed. So he took the chance to realize his dream of going to high school. Concurrently, he would help him get even with the bullies who drove him into a corner. Kim Dukpal, gangster of the Gangster Gang, who dreamt of studying and joining high school. As he wasn't able to study due to his poor background, somehow, he became a gangster. At his middle-aged, he had money and power to pursue his dream, and hired a tutor to teach him. Despite his eagerness to learn, Dukpal had shortage of basic knowledge. He couldn't solve a math problem for a 9th grader, making his tutor feel helpless. Losing the patience, the tutor kept scolding Dukpal. He had never taught someone who was that stupid. As soon as seeing Dukpal's tattoos, he changed his attitude in no time. He got scared by the look of a gangster like Dukpal. He had no idea that his stupid student was a powerful gangster. After class, Dukpal returned as a gangster. On a rainy day, he met up with the leader of Gangster Gang, whom Dukpal always venerated. As the leader was rich and he had so many enemies, he was always afraid of being assassinated. Therefore, he also wanted Dukpal to inherit his gang, as studying wasn't suitable for him. Though he clearly knew it was Dukpal's dream, he still wanted Dukpal to lead the gang. Dukpal didn't know what to choose. If he continued living as a gangster, he would have money to pursue his dream. However, if he inherited, he would lead the whole notorious gang. He had to make a choice between his lifetime dream and great career. While he was deep in thought, he saw a student trying to take his own life. Dukpal was stunned for a few seconds. He tried his best to run towards the student, but it was too late. The student jumped off the bridge, falling on Dukpal. The fall didn't take his life. However, he was so unlucky. When he tried to sit up, a speeding container hit him. Waking up and see himself in the mirror, it wasn't his body at all. His soul entered the body of the student. Dukpal thought he was dreaming. He couldn't believe that. At this time, Dukpal's inferiors were making a fuss outside, as their big brother lost their life. They asked to see the student who caused Dukpal's death. Hearing his inferiors' voice, Dukpal opened the door. He still called their names out of habits. And he got a punch from Dong-soo. Dukpal then realized it wasn't a dream. Then they took him to the funeral of himself. They didn't know that Dukpal's soul was in the student's body. Couldn't accept the truth, he went crazy and smashed everything in the room. How dared they hold a funeral when he was still alive? Jang Cheol was about to kick him out, but the chairman stopped him. His heart broken when Dukpal left the world, so he didn't want to mess up Dukpal's funeral. When the night fell, Dukpal came to the bridge. He thought his soul could get out of the body after jumping off. It wasn't that easy. After landing on the roof of a bus, nothing changed. A few days later, Dukpal woke up in the hospital. His soul was still in the body of the student, as his body was cremated. Though it was hard for him to accept the truth, Dukpal still came to the place where his ash was stored. There, his brothers left a photo of their good memory. After returning to the hospital, he questioned about the student's soul. Maybe his soul couldn't come back as his soul was in his body. It was stranger when no one visited the boy after a week of being hospitalized. At that moment, a strange woman appeared, shattering all of his vague thoughts. He still greeted her as he didn't know how evil she was. Seeing how polite he was, the woman fleered at him. She didn't inquire after him at all. Furthermore, she even blamed him for what happened that night. She wondered if he was induced by his mother to make his father worried and come for him. Then she just left after bawling Ihian out. Dukpal had thousands of questions in his mind. He checked on the boy's luggage. Only clothes and a tablet. Dukpal successfully opened it with Face ID function. He was reading Ihian's diary before taking his own life. Ihian suffered from school violence for a long time. Jaemin, classmate and the leader of the bullies who tormented Ihian. Before the incident happened, they often forced Ihian to steal something for them. They even beat him everywhere every time when they felt uncomfortable. It wasn't the only reason that stressed him out. Dukpal pissed off reading his diary. He kept a firm hold of his hand. He decided to fight for justice. Living as Ihian, he would get even with them, so that when Ihian's soul returned to his body, he could live a better life. As a man of word, he came back home the next morning. His mother was oversleeping. She was drunken all the time. Asking the housemaid, he knew that the woman yesterday was chairman's secretary. Who was that chairman? And where was Ihian's father? Before carrying out his revenge plan, he needed to fill his empty stomach. The housemaid cooked a meal for him. He emptied the bowls in a short time, which surprised her. Digging deeper, Dukpal learned that Ihian's father was chairman of a construction company. However, his mother wasn't his father's legal wife. His whole family got sick quite often, and the secretary handled everything in the household. She was even allowed to monitor Ihian's mother. The first thing Dukpal did was to cut his hair. Then, he bought a new ensemble of uniform. No matter what he did, he must look good. He encountered his classmate there. Sekyung was bewildered as Ihian didn't recognize him. Ihian seemed to be another person. At night, Dukpal came to his old place. His brothers were packing up and moved out. He really wanted to explain it to them, but it was too good to be true. In the following days, Dukpal took gymnastics very hard. He even set up a gym room at his home. It was for bulking the body up. The next day, he was taken to school by a private driver. As always, the driver parked the car in a distance from his school. But from then on, he wanted things to be different. He asked the driver to park at his school's gate. Entering the classroom, everyone looked at him. They didn't even realize Ihian until the teacher took roll call. Dukpal confidently raised his hand, amazing his classmates. Jaemin came towards Dukpal after the teacher left. He wondered why Ihian didn't reply to his message during summer holiday. Dukpal realized that was the bully. Jaemin wanted to see Ihian. Right after that, Jaemin pulled Dukpal to his other friends. They felt awkward when he was very different. Dukpal said he changed his mind after a fall. He meant these guys were the reason why he fell. He wanted to make short work of it and came back to the class. A guy attacked Dukpal, but he could avoid it. However, he was even shoved to the ground by another one. Dukpal forgot that Ihian's body was weak. They beat him up until he went off into a faint. During a coma, Dukpal saw Ihian's soul. He advised Dukpal not to do anything to his body. As Dukpal's body was cremated, Ihian would also disappear if his body was destroyed. Ihian asked Dukpal to let him be. Dukpal wondered why he didn't say something nicer to his savior. He didn't know how to get out of Ihian's body. Dukpal promised to study hard. Revenge Jaemin. Go to college and make more friends. When Dukpal opened his eyes and Ihian's soul already left, Dukpal woke up in Ihian's body. Se-kyung came towards him and told him to go to the medical room. Dukpal didn't need to come there. Se-kyung said the others would avoid him if he let it be. As there was no one in the medical room, Se-kyung helped him treat the wounds. Se-kyung wondered why Ihian didn't realize him the other day, though they were close friends. Dukpal remembered Ihian mentioned him in his diary. Ihian really wanted to befriend Se-kyung, but it wasn't easy. So Dukpal said he lost his memory after an accident that hurt his head. Se-kyung queried why Ihian didn't remember him. You slept at my home and we studied together every day. Ihian even said he treats Se-kyung's parents like his. Dukpal said sorry and hoped they would still be close friends. However, Se-kyung laughed at him. Se-kyung said, "We have never been friends. In the past, you often threatened me. I only said that to see your reaction. You once said that you would expose me to everyone if I didn't listen to you." But how could Dukpal know that? He could feel Se-kyung's cunning. He was not easy to deal with at all. While Se-kyung was suspicious of Ihian's true color, in the class, girls sitting around him were going to a stationery shop. He wanted to join them to help Ihian make more friends. After school, Dukpal waited for them at the school's gate in a luxury car. The girls were surprised. He bought them a meal before reaching the stationery shop. He was about to order all the dishes in the menu, but his classmates stopped him. 4 of them shared a pot of spicy tteokbokki. Dukpal watched them as he didn't like this dish. The following day, they changed their attitude to him. They were interested in his jokes. Se-kyung still bothered Ihian, as he was still curious about the boy who suddenly changed. Dukpal easily passed the physical test with perfect score, which amazed the whole class. They realized the change in his physique and communication. He seemed to be a total different person. The secretary suddenly appeared at his school. He found a quiet place to talk to her. She came to do some papers for Ihian. She wanted to send him abroad or a boarding school. Dukpal asked her if the chairman asked her so. He cursed at her and Ihian's father. She gave him a slap for his ungrateful attitude. He questioned her, "Do you want to be my mother? I heard that chairman's wife was dying. Are you planning to replace her as his legal wife? I will decide where I stay, not you." Returning to class, Se-kyung took the seat next to Ihian. He tried to ignore him, but Se-kyung didn't. He even taught Ihian to solve difficult math problems. Dukpal was startled when Se-kyung asked for his real name. Dukpal was very curious about the relationship between Ihian and Se-kyung. No one cared about his changes except Se-kyung. He wondered why Se-kyung was so patient. Dukpal had to solve another math problem. He took a photo of it and asked for Se-kyung's help. Without a second thought, Se-kyung just solved it and sent the answer. Se-kyung remembered the talk with Ihian. Ihian threatened to tell everyone the truth about Se-kyung if he refused to help. Se-kyung felt so uneasy. Ihian must have known Se-kyung's secret. Se-kyung came to Dukpal's house the next morning to tutor Ihian. At that moment, Ihian's drunken mother made a fuss. Dukpal told Se-kyung to wait in his room. Se-kyung searched for something. Dukpal observed Se-kyung's action. Se-kyung asked where the real Ihian was. Dukpal wondered why Se-kyung was obsessed with Ihian of the past. Se-kyung wanted to say something to Ihian of the past, and he wanted Ihian of the present proved himself. Ihian wanted to know about their history. Se-kyung couldn't reveal his secret. Ihian's mother made a fuss again. She slapped her son when he tried to calm her down. She thought he disrespected her just like his father. She got drunk to forget everything. Going crazy, she blamed him. "If it wasn't for you, I would have become a famous actress. My life would have been happier without you." Dukpal calmed her down with an embrace. When she fell asleep, he carried her to her room. Se-kyung picked up a strand of hair from Ihian's hoodie, which was his mother hair. He wanted to take a DNA test. As soon as Se-kyung's returned home, his father asked where he went. He actually knew where Se-kyung went owing to the GPS. Se-kyung said he came to his friend's home and listened to music. As the son of a famous prosecutor, Se-kyung should pick the right company. Se-kyung was always afraid of his father. When he was younger, his father always lashed out at him when he picked an unsuitable company. Dukpal faced Jaemin and his friends at school. They said Lee-hyun was well out of order. Then they let him see the video when they bullied him. Dukpal grew cross. He broke the phone in half and handled them one by one. It would be different this time as Dukpal prepared very well. He took down each of them without extra effort. He was a notorious gangster anyway. He was still cold-blooded in someone else's body. He grabbed Jaemin's hair and said he was Kim Dukpal, the second most powerful person of Gangster Gang. Se-kyung and a teacher saw them so Dukpal couldn't punch Jaemin. Se-kyung knew he was right. Dukpal warned the bullies. "If you curse at me one more time, I will kill you all." The teacher asked them what happened. Jaemin claimed that Lee-hyun challenged them first. Then he even said he was a gangster. Dukpal immediately denied it. He said he just defended himself when they picked a quarrel with him. The teacher bought into him because she knew they bullied other students. So she understood why he fought back, as Lee-hyun suffered it for a long time. She promised to report this to the school board. However, Dukpal didn't know what the school board was. The teacher explained it to him. In short, it is a disciplinary session for special students. Dukpal saw 2 students were mugged by the bullies, so he helped them out. He even snapped Jaemin cigarettes and told him only adults could smoke. Jaemin wondered how he dared. Dukpal told them they would be disciplined by the school board, and they might be transferred to another school. He didn't want that as he needed someone to fight. Jaemin got mad about that. He failed to punch Lee-hyun. Checking on Lee-hyun's birthmark, Jaemin confirmed it was Lee-hyun. Jaemin wondered about his relationship with Gangster Gang. Did you learn to fight from Kim Dukpal? Even if Dukpal told them the truth, they wouldn't have believed it. Dukpal gave Jaemin a warning. "If you keep skipping class, I'll turn you into my dartboard." Returning home, Dukpal wrote down his goals. First, his dream college. Second, get rid of school violence and make more friends. Third, protect Lee-hyun's family. The next day, Dukpal asked for a talk with Jaemin. He asked Jaemin not to be late for school as it distracted him from studying. Later, he saw Jaemin was forcing 2 students to buy cigarette for them. He crumpled up the pack of cigarette and threw it into the trash. Dukpal told Jaemin not to bully the others nor skip night class. Jaemin and his friends couldn't do anything to Lee-hyun. They couldn't think of any way to fight him. They also thought that he had Gangster Gang behind. Se-kyung had the DNA testing of Lee-hyun and Lee-hyun's mother, as he took Lee-hyun's hair before that. After Dukpal's death, Dong-soo took over the lead of the gang. He was also investigating Lee-hyun's mother. Without Dukpal, some members left the group. Dukpal really wants to know about the relationship between Lee-hyun and Se-kyung, so he asked Jaemin about that. Despite being confused, Jaemin still told him that Lee-hyun stalked Se-kyung. Dukpal denied it. He just wanted to make friends with Se-kyung. Jaemin knew Se-kyung told teacher that he was bullying Lee-hyun, but he didn't report it that Lee-hyun was stalking him. Jaemin thought Lee-hyun had feelings for Se-kyung. Se-kyung was born in a rich family and an excellent student. Dukpal wondered why Se-kyung was always uneasy talking about his family. Jaemin supposed that his parents placed a big pressure on him. Dukpal wanted to know what happened after Se-kyung reported about the school violence. Jaemin told him, "Teacher let it go when I said I was kidding with you. Even you also told her we were kidding." Dukpal demanded a happy relationship with Jaemin. He presumed that Se-kyung was a good guy, but he wondered why Lee-hyun threatened Se-kyung. Se-kyung's uncle told him about the DNA test on the phone. The DNA of Lee-hyun and his mother matched 99.99%. Se-kyung agreed to tutor Dukpal on the same condition. He wanted Lee-hyun to do whatever he asked. Dukpal knew he wanted but still asked for more time. Dukpal wondered why the school violence committee was ineffective here. Se-kyung believed that it was for the school's honor and the power of parents. People should come to the police station to report it, not the school. Thus, the attacker would be afraid because his criminal record would be archived. But if the attackers gave the victims a cross-action, they wouldn't face the adequate punishments. Se-kyung thought their lives should be ended. That was the only thing the victim should do when getting no help from law and school. On the day of the announcement of the provisional test results, Dukpal's results were low. After that, he asked Se-kyung out to buy beverages. In the convenience store, he picked up a bottle of soju instead of soft drink. Seeing how amazed Se-kyung was, he put it down and picked something else. Se-kyung remembered that Lee-hyun was allergic to pineapple. So he wanted to see if that was really Lee-hyun. However, Se-kyung stopped his friend before having a bite. To make Lee-hyun try pineapple jelly, he immediately felt short of breath. Se-kyung freaked out. Dukpal woke up in the hospital. Se-kyung was sure that the boy in front of him was not Lee-hyun. If he really lost his memories, someone must have told him about the allergy. Se-kyung then told him about the real Lee-hyun. On the destiny night, Lee-hyun met up with Se-kyung. He asked Se-kyung to help him get away from the bullies. Yet, Se-kyung refused and chased him away. He was too worried to sleep. And Lee-hyun didn't go to school for days. He eventually appeared as a different person. Se-kyung knew he was not Lee-hyun. Dukpal asked Se-kyung, "Do you want to say sorry to him? I will definitely bring him back and you can do it as long as you tutor me. Lee-hyun could live a better life after all." Se-kyung couldn't reject the offer. In the coming days, Se-kyung tutored Dukpal. He helped Dukpal everywhere and every when. Jaemin told Donsu about the boy learning how to fight from Kim Dukpal. Donsu said Dukpal had left the world. Maybe he met the boy before. As Donsu and his brothers had another fish to fry, he let Jaemin follow them to watch their cars. Dukpal and Se-kyung saw Donsu's car in front of Lee-hyun's home. He saved Lee-hyun's mother from being kidnapped by the gang. Dukpal handled one of them. Jaemin was frightened out when realizing it was a kidnap. Se-kyung fought against another one. Jaemin then escaped from there. Dukpal supported Se-kyung after taking down a gangster. The gangsters used knives to fight against Dukpal. At that point in time, the police came so they ran away. Lee-hyun's mother was then taken to the hospital. As she took sleeping pills before the kidnap, she hadn't waken up yet. The housemaid told the boys to get a rest. Dukpal wanted to stay as the kidnappers might get there. The police came for their testimony. When the police asked his mother had any animosity against someone, Dukpal immediately thought of Mi-kyung. Dukpal told the police it wasn't a kidnap. Just a. There were a few gangsters made a noise when parking in front of my home. Hearing the noise, my mother checked it out and fainted away. The police officer said someone reported about the kidnap. Dukpal claimed it was just a misunderstanding. On the way home, Se-kyung wondered why Dukpal didn't tell the officers the truth. It wasn't good when the police got involved at this time, as Lee-hyun's life would be affected. Dukpal promised not to do bad things to Lee-hyun. Se-kyung lied to his fathers that he got hurt by thugs. Se-kyung's father wanted to examine the scene. Se-kyung took him to a place without CCTV. As a prosecutor, he knew Se-kyung was lying. The ground was undisturbed, unlike a scuffle. He repeatedly questioned his son about that to make him tell the truth. But Se-kyung just fell to the ground. Se-kyung was taken to the hospital for 4 drip. His mother heard the news and immediately called his father. She told him, "Don't be too strict on Se-kyung. Can't you let him be a normal student?" In response, he said he only wanted the best for him, to make sure he would become a good person. The next morning, Dukpal made a call to the company of Lee-hyun's father to talk to Secretary Mi-kyung, but there was no one with that name in the company. He was sure that she was working for Lee-hyun's father. The housemaid didn't have Mi-kyung's phone number. The housemaid wondered if she schemed for the kidnap. The driver remembered Mi-kyung called in once. It was unavailable when Dukpal made a call. Secretary Mi-kyung was so mysterious. She knew everything about Lee-hyun while Dukpal knew nothing about her. He wondered where they wanted to take Lee-hyun's mother to. The only way was to find the kidnappers. It was Mi-kyung who paid Dong-su's gang for the kidnap. She was angry when Dong-su failed it, because her career would come to an end if the police caught her. Dong-su said the victim didn't report it to the police. He promised to give Jaemin a lesson as he ran away in the middle of the mission. The next day, Jaemin didn't come to school. His friends couldn't reach him on the phone. Dukpal inquired after Se-kyung. Se-kyung said his parents took him to the hospital. Dukpal asked Se-kyung to take a good rest. Se-kyung would be back soon to continue tutoring Lee-hyun. Dukpal's ordered package had arrived. It was a barrel of fresh stingrays. The housemaid was amazed when he ate it well. Jaemin found him with anxiety. He asked the driver if everything was okay as he saw a mess there earlier. The driver said everything was fine, but Jaemin was still worried. Se-kyung met Dukpal at night. He revealed that the police would come to their school because he lied to his father that he was beaten by thugs. Dukpal apologized for getting him involved in it. He wanted to know why Se-kyung seemed so sad, but he said nothing. Dukpal then taught Se-kyung the art of self-defense. Se-kyung listened to Dukpal's instructions. On the other side, Se-kyung's father had Lee-hyun's information. He was an illegitimate child who was abandoned by his father. His scholastic achievements were bad. He didn't understand why his son was so close to that boy. On their way home, Jaemin showed up out of the blue. He was surprised when knowing Dukpal lived in that villa. Right after that, 3 of them came to a coffee shop. Jaemin told Lee-hyun, "I heard that the police came to your house. Are they finding for the culprit?" Dukpal said he didn't report it to the police. Dukpal questioned Jaemin, "Do you wait for me to ask about that?" Jaemin was confused, then immediately changed the topic. Dukpal invited Jaemin home for dinner. Jaemin's mouth watered when seeing a hearty meal. He even wanted to stay overnight at Lee-hyun's home. Jaemin said his father worked far from home and his mother left him. His sister was studying at a hair salon. Dukpal agreed to let Jaemin stay. Se-kyung also wanted to stay. Dukpal asked about Jaemin's intention. Jaemin said he was missing his friend. It was funny as Jaemin bullied Lee-hyun for a long time. Dukpal reproached Jaemin for keeping the videos recording when Lee-hyun was bullied. Jaemin said it was the past, and he wasn't the one who filmed it and posted online. Dukpal couldn't forgive Jaemin for what he had done. He referred that Jaemin was the one who led Lee-hyun into deadlock. After that, Se-kyung saw the cloven hoof of Jaemin. "You came here to check if the police are following you or not?" Because Se-kyung saw Jaemin that night. Jaemin said he had nothing to do with that, as he was the one who called police. Dukpal asked Jaemin where he met the thugs. Jaemin told him everything. "They occasionally came to the nightclub where I worked at. I just knew that they were from Gangster Gang. Dong-su was planning to kidnap Lee-hyun. He must do that because there was no way back." At night, Dukpal was kidnapped. They covered his face and took him to an abandoned warehouse. Dong-su untied Dukpal. Dukpal was surprised when that was his right-hand man. Dukpal questioned Dong-su what they were doing. Everyone laughed when he acted exactly like Dukpal. Looking at the name tag, Dong-su remembered he was related to Dukpal's death. Dukpal wondered, "Does Chil Sun-hyung know what you're doing? Don't tell me you guys are betraying him." A guy attacked Dukpal when he mentioned the founder. Yet, Dukpal could strike back. Each of them was knocked down by Dukpal. Jang Cheol scolded his juniors for letting a boy beat him. Dukpal couldn't strike Jang Cheol down. Once again, Lee-hyun's small body was not strong enough to defeat the big guys. Jaemin's friends were betraying him. They were ordered to take Jaemin to Dong-su. Jaemin heard it and ran away. Se-kyung remembered the incident that happened earlier. He saw Dukpal was kidnapped, but he couldn't catch up with them. He recalled Dukpal's words when he was about to call the police. Lee-hyun's life would be affected if the police got involved. Se-kyung said sorry to the police as it might be a prank among friends. Se-kyung didn't know what to do. At that moment, he got a message from his father that he had already found a private tutor for him who was on the way to their home. Jaemin saw Se-kyung on his escape, so he pulled Se-kyung along. They hid themselves in a corner. Se-kyung told Jaemin that Lee-hyun was kidnapped. Jaemin thought they was confining Lee-hyun in Shinho Hotel. As they ordered Jaemin friends to take him there, Se-kyung asked Jaemin to get there and help Lee-hyun. Jaemin daren't confront a group of gangsters. Dukpal woke up. Dong-soo asked who taught him fight. Dukpal said he was born with the ability of fighting. Dukpal asked Dong-soo what he was going to do with Lee-hyun's mother. Dong-soo bluntly replied that he would send her to a mental hospital. Dukpal scolded Dong-soo for not doing things by rule of Gangster Gang. He wondered if Dukpal's death was a chance for Dong-soo. However, Dong-soo kept silence. Meanwhile, Se-kyung caught a taxi rather than waiting for his father. He told people in Lee-hyun's home not to go out. Then he told the driver to call all the bodyguards to keep watch. Dong-soo asked Lee-hyun, "Do you know Dukpal Hyung? He lost his life when trying to save yours." Dong-soo said Dukpal was like his full brother. Dukpal questioned him back, "Where's Chilsun Hyung? Do you overthrow him?" Dong-soo couldn't obey him anymore. After Dukpal's death, the other gangs gathered and attacked Chilsun Gang. Chilsun got injured and be hospitalized. Then he left without letting anyone know. Dong-soo couldn't find him anywhere. At that time, Jang Cheol called Dong-soo. He went to Lee-hyun's home but they tightened the security. Dong-soo told him to hide carefully and wait for the orders. Dong-soo wondered why Lee-hyun didn't report the kidnap. Instead, he tightened the security, which meant he had to hide something. Dong-soo remembered the talk with Mi-kyung. After pushing Son Min-seo to the madhouse, she would send Lee-hyun abroad. As he was the only son of Chairman Bae, she didn't want to harm him because he was useful to her. Meanwhile, Se-kyung arrived at Shinho Hotel. His father followed him. He asked Se-kyung why he came there. Se-kyung said Lee-hyun was kidnapped. As he knew his father could locate him, he used it to find for help. His father blamed him for interfering with this. Se-kyung begged for his father's help when being asked to get home. Dukpal and Lee-hyun's body told Dong-soo about the history between them, which stunned Dong-soo. He wondered why Lee-hyun knew everything. Dong-soo wanted to know who he really was. Dukpal told Dong-soo that he knew his weaknesses. That's why he wanted Dong-soo to disperse the gang and bring Mi-kyung to him. In return, he would help Dong-soo open an eatery in his hometown. If Dong-soo didn't disperse it, he would have nothing left. These tough words reminded Dong-soo of Dukpal. Dong-soo asked Lee-hyun who you were. Dukpal said you would know it later. Dong-soo didn't stop when Dukpal left. Se-kyung and his father were in front of the hotel. He told Dukpal that he saw the kidnap and Jaemin led him there. Se-kyung's father then met Dong-soo's father. He was investigating the corruption case of Wonha Construction Company, so he warned to imprison Dong-soo and his men if they were involved in it. Dong-soo claimed he had nothing to do with that. Prosecutor knew Dong-soo sent a man to spy on Lee-hyun's home. If you are prosecuted for this case, your efforts will be ruined. Dong-soo had no choice but to ask Jang Cheol to withdraw. Mi-kyung was angry when Dong-soo canceled the plan. He couldn't confront the prosecutor. She wondered if Dong-soo wanted to give it up. When Chilsun got hurt, he didn't have money to pay for the surgery. Mi-kyung heard it by accident and helped Dong-soo pay for the surgery. So, Dong-soo did something for her in return. Dong-soo took her offer to save Chilsun. Back to reality, Dong-soo kept his words. His gang was her debtor in fact. Dong-soo told Jang Cheol why he released Lee-hyun. Jang Cheol wanted to know why Lee-hyun knew what only Dukpal knew. He wondered if Lee-hyun was Dukpal's son. That made no sense to Dong-soo. He thought Lee-hyun was a crook. He told Jang Cheol to keep spying on Lee-hyun then bring him to Mi-kyung. Returning home, Dukpal thanked Se-kyung for what he did for him. They appointed to meet the following day. However, Se-kyung didn't show up. Neither did he reply the messages. A moment later, Se-kyung asked to meet Dukpal somewhere else. When he arrived, Se-kyung been waiting there. He told Dukpal not to text her anymore, as he would ignore Lee-hyun at school. Dukpal knew it was Se-kyung's father who asked him to stay away. Anyway, Se-kyung had a way to contact Dukpal without letting his father know. Se-kyung showed Dukpal his mother's tablet. He wanted Dukpal to call in case of emergency. Dukpal promised to help Se-kyung when he asked. So, Se-kyung wanted Dukpal to teach him how to cycle and drink alcohol. Dukpal rejected him because he was still a high school student. When Dukpal saw the bullies smoking at school, he asked them to hand over the cigarette. He asked them where Jaemin was. They really wanted to know where he was. They left to avoid telling Dukpal that they wanted to take Jaemin to the gangsters. Thanks to a friend, Dukpal learned that Jaemin was working at a convenience store, and Jaemin wanted no one to know. Subsequently, Dukpal came to Jaemin's. Jaemin told Dukpal that his friends was trying to take him to Donsu, so Jaemin could neither go home nor school. Dukpal wondered why. Jaemin thought they wanted to punish him for running away in the middle of the mission. Jaemin decided to quit school and told Dukpal not to come there. At that moment, Se-kyung called Dukpal. He was standing on the bridge where Lee-hyun jumped off. Dukpal immediately went there. Se-kyung seemed to have some family problems, so he wanted to stay overnight at Lee-hyun's home. However, Dukpal didn't take his home. They bought tickets to go somewhere far away. Se-kyung was very happy staying with Dukpal. Dukpal was surprised at the presence of Donsu and John Cheol. He queried why they were also there. Dukpal and Se-kyung came to a peaceful beach. They had fun together. Donsu and John Cheol were observing them from afar. Dukpal and Se-kyung then went to a flea market for shopping. And of course, Donsu and John Cheol followed them. Next, Dukpal taught Se-kyung to cycle. After many falls, Se-kyung finally could ride a bike by himself. At night, they came to a pub as Se-kyung's wish. Donsu and John Cheol kept their eyes on them. Then they went to a hotel. As they both were underage, the receptionist couldn't accept them. So, Dukpal took Se-kyung to a nearby motel. Because they were minors, the old man did not let them stay the night. Dukpal said he was a member of Gangster Gang. The old man knew the gang didn't accept minors. Dukpal was grumpy. "Do you forget whom let you manage this inn? Even though Kim Dukpal passed away, you should not forget what he had done for you." The boy even knew the old man's secret, so he gave them the key to protect his secret. Entering the room, Se-kyung asked how Lee-hyun knew the owner owed Dukpal. Dukpal said, "I just spoke at random. Lucky, as I worked here before." Donsu and John Cheol stayed in the next room. They couldn't get why he knew so many things about Dukpal. Neither catch him as his friend wasn't related to it. Hence, they decided to wait until Lee-hyun went out. Se-kyung told Dukpal how suffocating he felt whenever he looked at his dad, as he couldn't get away from his father's control. "I used to take medicine to treat it, but gradually it no longer worked. Every time when he was 5 minutes late to get home or his clothes were dirty, his father punished him and talked to him with harsh words. He didn't even want Se-kyung to make friends with anyone he wanted. Se-kyung was asked to befriend those who were born in a high-ranking position. Recently, he knew that Se-kyung was still befriending Lee-hyun. Even though Se-kyung had promised his father not to do that again, Se-kyung could no longer suffer his father's harsh words. From then on, he talked back to his father. Se-kyung even hurt himself. When he calmed down, he realized he was on the bridge. Dukpal believes that it is not necessarily his father's, because he thought that was the only way to educate Se-kyung. Dukpal wanted Se-kyung to help him find another way. Late that night, Dukpal turned on Se-kyung's phone and his father immediately called. He also knew who was answering the phone. He asked Dukpal to persuade Se-kyung to get home and beg for his forgiveness, otherwise he would never forgive him. Dukpal told him how Se-kyung felt afraid of him, and asked him to talk to Se-kyung later when he came back to school. Se-kyung's father smashed his phone with anger. The next morning, John Cheol was awakened by the phone ringing. Dukpal asked to see them too as soon as possible. Dong-soo and Jang Cheol could not help but doubt the identity of this boy. How could he know Jang Cheol's phone number? Jang Cheol wanted to beat Lee Hyun up. Also, he intended to test Lee Hyun's DNA to see if he was Dukpal's son. Dukpal questioned if they had Dukpal's DNA. Then he could name each one in Jang Cheol's family. Only Dukpal and Jang Cheol knew about them. Jang Cheol was stunned by the details. The boy also knew the first time he met Dong-soo. Which were exactly. Jang Cheol still thought Lee Hyun was Dukpal's son. So he hugged Lee Hyun tight. Suddenly, Lee Hyun's driver entered, so Jang Cheol pushed Lee Hyun away. The driver came to give the uniform at Dukpal's request. Then he took Se-kyung and Se-kyung to school. At school, Dukpal heard the bullies were finding a way to catch Jae-min. Dukpal asked them, "Anyone named Jang Cheol called you guys? He's a friend of my father." So he called Jang Cheol and let him talk to the bullies. Jang Cheol withdrew the order of catching Jae-min. At that point in time, teacher asked for a talk with Se-kyung and Dukpal. Se-kyung's father was waiting in the office. He grabbed Lee Hyun's collar and blamed him for destroying Se-kyung's future. The teacher calmed Se-kyung's father down. "If you want to punish the boy, you should listen to the whole story." Se-kyung's father wanted to talk with Se-kyung privately. "I'll report it to the school violence committee. You'll tell them that Lee Hyun induced you to get there." Se-kyung fell into a faint, freaking everyone. Dukpal believed that he had strictly imposed on himself. And on his son either. He said he was educating Se-kyung in his own way. To make him an upright, kind and honest person, someone who only follows social rules. In Dukpal's eyes, he was just trying to manipulate Se-kyung, which makes Se-kyung want to take his own life. Do you really want to lose him like that? Dukpal could parry his blow. He could know how Se-kyung felt when being beaten. That's why he became a gangster. If you want to save Se-kyung, you should change yourself first. Ask yourself if you're maltreating your own son. Dukpal said so and left. When Se-kyung woke up, Dukpal bought him a meal. A friend came and acted as Se-kyung's close friend. Se-kyung knew he was his father's spy. He got good grades thanks to studying with Se-kyung. But then he betrayed Se-kyung. So Se-kyung chased him away. He gave Dukpal a hateful gaze before leaving. Lee Hyun was making a fuss again. To take some medicines. She ran out of medicines and Mi-kyung didn't give her more. Dukpal asked the pharmacist about the medicines and learned that they were very strong tranquilizer. This type is not recommended for use because it will harm the body. At the same time, it will cause complications such as reduced vision, convulsions, or phobic disorders. Dukpal asked Dong-soo to help him meet Mi-kyung. She gave Lee Hyun's mother a type of medicine which was really hard to buy. She bought those medicines under his mother's name so he couldn't handle her with law. Hence, Dukpal wanted to punish Mi-kyung by himself. Jang Cheol advised Dong-soo not to hand over Mi-kyung, who saved Chil-sun-hyung. Besides, if they did so, their gang would be in trouble because she held a lot of power. Speaking of her, she just showed up. Dong-soo also wanted to protect Dukpal's child. As she saved Chil-sun, Dong-soo gave her one more chance. He would hand her over to Lee Hyun next time. Outside, Mi-kyung heard the other kids talking about Lee Hyun. Couldn't miss the chance, she approached them on purpose. Meanwhile, the school disciplinary council was discussing about Lee Hyun. Se-kyung's father accused Lee Hyun of seducing Se-kyung to sleep in a motel, bullying classmates, and hanging out with gangsters. Everyone was flabbergasted. He threatened to let prosecutors handle this case if the school didn't take an action. Dukpal was informed that 2 students accused him of school violence. And the schemer was none other than Mi-kyung. She paid the bullies to accuse Dukpal. With a generous amount of money. She even promised them a better future if they could send Lee Hyun to a reform school. Right after that, Mi-kyung asked to see Lee Hyun. He also knew that she was the one behind it all. Dukpal asked her about the medicines of Lee Hyun's mother. She denied it, but she could tell Lee Hyun's mother bought the medicines herself. With the guard of 2 thugs, she challenged him to touch her. Dukpal knew Mi-kyung's plan. Sending Lee Hyun's mother to a madhouse and Lee Hyun to a reform school. Because Chairman Bae would soon die of fatal disease. That was when Mi-kyung became his next wife. Se-kyung's father had a driver take him to school. From then on, he even controlled Se-kyung more closely. He even transferred Se-kyung to another class. He wanted to separate his son from Lee-hyun, who was said to be his son's bully. Se-kyung was really surprised, not knowing what had happened. But that was the decision of the school discipline council and the parents' association. Dukpal didn't see Se-kyung in the class. He couldn't reach Se-kyung on the phone. Everyone was really surprised when Dukpal was disciplined by the school board. It's worth mentioning that the cause was bullying Se-kyung. They felt something unusual because they knew how close Lee-hyun and Se-kyung were. Se-kyung always smiled when he was with Lee-hyun. Speak of the devil, Se-kyung showed up. He said the adults were misunderstanding them. Se-kyung already talked to the school board, so he wanted Dukpal to act as normal. Dukpal questioned if the discipline was cancelled. Se-kyung said he would file a petition for annulment, with the signatures of the victim and guardian. Jae-min told Dukpal who accused him. Dukpal knew Mi-kyung was behind that. So he went to see Byung-cheol and Yi-ji. He asked them to withdraw the accusation and go back to school. Otherwise, he would also accuse them of bullying Lee-hyun. His threats didn't scare them. They confidently believed that Dukpal had no evidence to incriminate him. The only person who can testify was Jae-min, so they required Jae-min to take side with them. To silence Jae-min, they reminded him of what he had done to Lee-hyun. If Jae-min dared to denounce, they wouldn't spare him. Moreover, they even told Jae-min to report Lee-hyun to the police. They had to act first to gain the upper hand. Dukpal went to the police station. There, he denied the accusation. He said he actually was the victim. They had bullied him since the beginning of middle school. He wrote everything down in his diary. When he was about to show the officer the evidences, the bullies had deleted them all. The police officer asked Dukpal to bring him the diary and the videos. And if possible, it would be better to find a witness. Shortly afterwards, Dukpal met up with Dong-soo and Jeon-cheol. He told them that Mi-kyung paid for his classmates to denounce him. She also planned to send me to a reformatory. Both of them grew cross when she dared to harm their nephew. Dukpal said he had requested them to withdraw their accusation. If they didn't listen, he would find Mi-kyung and ask her to withdraw it. Jeon-cheol wondered what he would do to Mi-kyung. Dukpal said he would make her face Chairman Bae first. That woman wanted his money, his power, and his heart. She would lose everything if he abandoned her. He planned to let Chairman Bae know her true face, which took away her chance to approach Lee-hyun and his mother. Dukpal asked them to help him find Mi-kyung. One day, he met another big brother in Gangland. Dukpal was very happy about that. Jeon-cheol said Chilsun knew about Dukpal's child, so he would find Lee-hyun soon. They stalked Mi-kyung and Chairman Bae, but they didn't come to the company. Dukpal was surprised when the accusation was forwarded to the prosecutor's office. The police officer also didn't understand why it happened so quickly. He advised Lee-hyun to prepare everything in advance, because they would soon conduct an investigation. He firmly believed that someone put pressure on the prosecutors. On this side, Se-kyung's father was upset when the teacher approved Se-kyung's request to cancel the accusation of school violence. Se-kyung submitted the annulment after getting his mother's signature, but it was all in vain when his father handed it over to the prosecutor's office to handle. Even though Se-kyung tried to explain that Lee-hyun didn't do it because he was the victim, but his father still thought of Lee-hyun as bad friend. And he promised himself to send Lee-hyun to the reformatory. These past few days, Se-kyung saw Jae-min attaching his eyes on Dukpal. Se-kyung asked Jae-min, "Did you join them to denounce Lee-hyun? Or are you planning to get information from him and inform them?" Jae-min denied everything. "I just want to graduate from high school. I was actually kidding Lee-hyun at first. I just ordered that rich boy to buy alcohol and cigarettes. I didn't expect things to be like this." Se-kyung showed Jae-min a way to correct it. Se-kyung knew they still kept the original copy of the bullying videos, so he asked Jae-min to take them from Byung-cheol and Yi-ji. They must prove that Lee-hyun was not a bully. Jae-min was on the fence. He really wanted to clear Lee-hyun's name, but he didn't want to get dragged into this trouble. At that moment, Jae-min encountered Byung-cheol. Jae-min claimed that he wouldn't denounce Lee-hyun. Whatever Byung-cheol said, Jae-min wouldn't listen to him. Jae-min went to see Lee-hyun after a talk with Se-kyung. Jaemin knelt down before Lee-hyun and said, "My father had a saving account for my future. He wanted me to go to university even though it was way too hard for me. Dad had high expectations for him, so Jaemin was very scared. If he took the stand for Lee-hyun, it would destroy himself and his father's hope." Dukpal told him, "I can't go to the reformatory. Real adults will help children no longer suffer. The person you need to say sorry isn't me." When the real Lee-hyun came back, sincerely apologized to him. "Anyway, study hard when you still have the chance. Try to get into college so you won't have to regret it later like Dukpal does." Saekyung apologized Dukpal for what his father did. Dukpal knew it wasn't Saekyung's fault. And he didn't worry much about the investigation the following day, as he was trying to complete his goals before Lee-hyun came back. Nevertheless, Dukpal was very happy to have a real friend like Saekyung. Saekyung wanted to take the stand for Lee-hyun because he saw them bully Lee-hyun many times. Late at night, Chilsun suddenly visited Lee-hyun's mother at the hospital. He introduced himself as Lee-hyun's uncle because he thought he was Dukpal's son. Lee-hyun's mother told him it was a misunderstanding. Even though she claimed she didn't know who Dukpal was, Chilsun didn't care about that. He told her to protect her own son. She had to do that, not let the boy take care of her and have to suffer what was out there. Chilsun hoped she would be of sound mind or else she would lose her son. Finishing his words, he just left. Chilsun said Dukpal was in Gangwon 19 years ago. He knew no girl there. The next morning, Lee-hyun's mother was in full possession of her senses. Dukpal said he needed to go out for a while. She wondered, "Do you have a crush on someone? You're an adult now. A man becomes gentle when he likes someone. Your father used to be like that too. He fell for Mi-kyung when playing golf. Recently, he even bought her an apartment. But that means he's sending her away." Dukpal asked Dongsu and Jang Cheol to get there. He must catch Mi-kyung to distract Byung Cheol and Yi Ji. Jaemin gave Byung Cheol a call. He agreed to take the stand for Lee-hyun. At the same time, Dukpal and Saekyung were present at the interrogation. Dongsu called him about the disappearance of Mi-kyung. Saekyung's father dragged him out but he resisted. Jaemin's presence surprised Dukpal. Actually, he came to help. He grabbed Byung Cheol's pack back and threw it at Dukpal, where lay the iPad with all the videos. The bullies failed to take it back. Dukpal, Jaemin, and Saekyung gave them a lifetime lesson. The prosecutor also arrived at the right time. Dukpal also showed everyone those videos. Jaemin admitted that he and the others were the bullies who caused Lee-hyun's intention to take his own life. Dukpal wondered why he changed his mind, as he gave Jaemin a chance. Jaemin didn't want to avoid responsibility. That's what he should do, which made him feel less miserable. Jaemin and the others were taken to the police station. They all seemed worried and afraid of the ending they were about to face. Only Byung Cheol still wanted to revenge Dukpal. Jaemin gave them a warning if they dared to harm Dukpal, which made them crazy. At the same time, Dukpal received a text message from the maid. Lee-hyun's mother was preparing for discharge from the hospital. As soon as Dukpal left, Lee-hyun's image appeared. Jaemin burst into tears and apologized. Saekyung wanted his father to say sorry to Lee-hyun. His father thought Lee-hyun was a victim in this case. Yet, what he did to Saekyung was guilty. He still wanted Saekyung to avoid such a friend. Saekyung didn't want to transfer as his father wished. He would quit school if his father was determined. Dukpal encountered Chilsun and his men at the hospital. He greeted and inquired after Chilsun. As Chilsun had gone through a surgery, Chilsun said it was just a stab. Dukpal mentioned all the injuries of Chilsun. Chilsun wondered if they had met before. Dukpal said his father told him everything about Chilsun. He also blamed him for suddenly leaving the gang. Being in the hospital for a week scared Chilsun of fighting. It means everything is over once a gangster feels scared. That was also the reason why he handed over the gang to Dukpal. He really felt sorry when his right-hand man left this world. Dukpal told him, "Let the deceased leave. I'm still alive to protect him." In response, Chilsun if it was because he wanted to go to school. He seemed to know who Lee Hyun actually was. While Dukpal and Lee Hyun's mother were waiting for the car, he saw the billboard of Wonha Construction Company. Dukpal told her he needed to see Chairman Bae. As he already knew where he was, Dukpal got in a taxi and went straight to the airport. Dukpal told Dongsu and Jang Cheol to go to the airport for Chairman Bae. He would arrive at the airport within 1 hour from a trip to German. That would be the golden time to capture Mi Kyung. Indeed, Chairman Bae was at the airport. Mi Kyung was also there with him. She called the lawyer to ask how the situation had progressed, and be stunned when Lee Hyun was declared innocent. Dukpal and his brothers reached the airport. Seeing him, Mi Kyung quickly ran away. Dukpal didn't care. He just asked for a private meal with Chairman Bae. Mi Kyung was taken there after that. Dukpal told Chairman Bae all about her guilt. She drugged my mother and turned me into a bully, and planned to take over your legal wife's position. Mi Kyung denied everything. How dare I hurt your son? I've worked for you for 10 years. I cleaned up the mess that your wife, Song Min Seo, and you made. Looking at her extreme reaction, he knew it was all true. Mi Kyung immediately knelt before him. Dukpal spoke, "You shall say sorry to me." Chairman Bae asked her to do as Dukpal's wish. However, she gave him a look full of hatred. Dukpal poured tea over her and said, "My bad." Yet, Chairman Bae was very excited about Dukpal's power. He wouldn't recognize Dukpal as son. Dukpal said a real father would take care of his children and teach him to be a good person. You abandoned him when you didn't need him anymore. Don't call yourself a father. After that, he coldly left. After everything was handled, Dukpal asked Lee Hyun how he felt. As he noticed Lee Hyun's presence all the time, Dukpal kept his word. He advised Lee Hyun not to think about leaving the world anymore, to live fully like that worth Dukpal's efforts. One thing Dukpal hadn't done yet was go to college. It was because Lee Hyun came back too soon. They had a week left. Dukpal was ready to leave Lee Hyun's body. Se-kyung asked Dukpal if he was taking over Lee Hyun's body, if another soul got into Lee Hyun's body. Dukpal couldn't explain it, so he avoided answering Se-kyung's question. Dukpal went out with a girl who had feelings for Lee Hyun. He was confused by her love confession. He asked whether she could wait for him for 2 more days, and he would give her an answer later. Lee Hyun blamed Dukpal for passing the responsibility to him. Dukpal said it was Lee Hyun's life, so he should make a decision. Lee Hyun told Dukpal to stay with Se-kyung, who was waiting to hear the truth. Dukpal thought it was better if Se-kyung didn't know. A boy asked Se-kyung if Lee Hyun was going to transfer, as he hoped that boy to take care of Se-kyung. Hearing so, Se-kyung ran as fast as he could to find Dukpal. Dukpal seemed to know that Se-kyung would come for him. Before letting him know the truth, Dukpal took him to a place. It was the memorial park where kept Dukpal's ash. Dukpal said he tried to save Lee Hyun's life when he jumped off the bridge. Somehow, his soul got in Lee Hyun's body. Se-kyung understood what he said. Se-kyung knew when Lee Hyun's soul came back, Dukpal would disappear. That was why Dukpal didn't want to tell Se-kyung the truth. Suddenly, Lee Hyun's soul was present in front of them both. Se-kyung teared up when seeing the real Lee Hyun. They boys hugged each other tight and cried like kids. Dukpal left to give them a private time together. Getting out of the memorial park, Dukpal encountered Dongsu and Jang Cheol. He decided to tell them everything. Actually, they already realized that it was Dukpal's soul in the boy's body. As soon as Dongsu saw Dukpal, he was tear. Dukpal asked them for a drink before telling them everything. Inside the memorial park, Se-kyung sincerely apologized to Lee Hyun. Se-kyung thought he was one of those who made Lee Hyun want to end his life. His silence was a causal remote. Actually, the truth about Se-kyung wasn't a matter. Se-kyung wasn't close to the bullies at all. After Se-kyung poured his heart out, Lee Hyun didn't hate Se-kyung. Actually, Se-kyung was not at fault in this matter. The truth can only change if Lee dared to fight back like what Dukpal did. Lee should have faced his problem bravely. As we live only once, we should live to the fullest. After all, Lee and Saekyung forgave each other. Having a friend like Saekyung was the happiest thing in Lee's life. Meanwhile, Dukpal and his brothers were drunk. Dukpal told Dongsu everything. Dongsu blamed Dukpal for not telling him the truth sooner. Dukpal didn't want to make them sad. That's why he chose to hide the truth. Dukpal thanked them for their loyalty after what had happened. Dongsu was happy to be the right-hand man of a righteous person like Dukpal. Dukpal and Saekyung last talked together before the farewell. Saekyung admired Dukpal's way of life. In his eyes, Dukpal was a great adult. Dukpal was happy to have a friend like Saekyung even in a short time. Finally, the moment of soul transfer between them arrived. However, Lee had no wish to continue living, as he gave up on his life when he jumped off the bridge. He was hopeless at his weary life. So he chose to let Dukpal continue his precious life. Dukpal deserved to continue living more than Lee. Lee felt great when Dukpal was happy to live. Despite Dukpal's advice, Lee still wanted to end his life. A few years later, after many hardships, Dukpal finally fulfilled his dream of going to university. Though their lives changed, the friendship between Saekyung and Dukpal stayed the same. They always stayed side by side. They were really close friends. It could be said they were soulmates. The end. Please like and subscribe. Goodbye and see you next time.